Do you like cartoons with good storylines? I do, because I grew up in a time where if you were 7 years old and bored, you had only magazines, newspaper, games, crossword puzzles, the outdoors, and if you were slightly more privileged, your grandma had one of those Nokia phones with the green or blue LED screen, and you had an 8-bit snake game that you could play. But if you were really cool and had really cool parents that understand trends, you probably had comics and mangas. We are honoring the legacy and influence of creator of Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama. May he rest in the peace he created and deserves. Hi, my name is Hugh Clouds. Welcome to Perfect Thoughts, where we connect the dots on how tiny thoughts and actions grow between our three worlds: the human experience, our mind's privacy, and the public online world. So in this multiverse of options and opinions, let your intuition guide you back to the most valuable opinion of them all, your very own. As always, we offer a seat at our table, but if you don't like the food, we suggest to go cook. And to those I love, let's begin today's episode. Full of hope, from a very young age, I always wanted to change the world. As I mature, I understand change comes from within. There's limitless worlds inside everyone, and we are all responsible for our very own. So instead of focusing on the entire world and running myself into insanity, I decided to first focus on my own world. I think I'll be working on it until the very last day of my life. Then I decided to think in terms of highlighting my own consciousness instead of trying to change the world for everyone. I want to offer my experience as a way for others to find their own path. They can choose what resonates with them and leave the rest behind. You see, that's what free will is all about, and the world can't be forced to see itself. It may even reject the gift of self-reflection. Yeah, and with those emotions present 24/7 in our heads and in our hearts, it's like God built these for a reason. All of us can't seem to 100% agree on most of the time. And it's not God's fault either. It's our collective disagreement on how we use our free will and emotions for good, evil, and neither. When you're a kid, you have some free will. But it's between the choices presented and available to you because you're so little. And because of this, I don't often blame the kids for being influenced the wrong ways or being mean to each other. They're echoing what is available to them. So it may come from what they're consuming, their friends, because friends also have to choose how they are influenced themselves. Multiply everything I am saying times 2. So your influence could also be the way your family is both influencing you and the filtering they're doing on their own time, which is later passed on to you and their peers. Directly and indirectly, everyone is of influence. It's a mess. Long story short, being influenced by good people is critical, and sometimes art doesn't come with the best intentions or the most thoughtful people behind it. We should pay attention. Thankfully for me, I was lucky that my mom knew somehow that Dragon Ball Z was good for me. It was a good influence on me, and I am now a young adult that is able to not only pick her influences but be of influence herself. I agree with mom here too. And P.S., for anyone that calls these cartoons satanic or from the devil, let me remind you that none of these cartoons have ever reached out from the screen and molested a child, but usually some devil close to or inside your homes that is actually demonic is molesting a child. Just letting you know. Anyways, childhood influence holds a powerful imprint on me and you today. I mean, how can they not? They're clues to the map that is you and I. They're codes to what we call our identity, personality, etc. The sooner we can teach kids what a good and bad influence looks like and explain why. That's the most important part, to explain why. It's the more power that they will have at protecting themselves even when you're not around. You can't always keep an eye on them, so teach them how to keep an eye on themselves. I am a true believer in that. I'm actually the product of it. The creator of Dragon Ball Z, his name is Akira Toriyama, and he is what we call legacy. He's part of very important pages in my childhood memories with my favorite cousins and memories with my mom, which are priceless compared to the pesos, or dollars, I guess, spent on the comic books we love. Remember, I can't speak for all of us, but this is what I've been noticing. Right now, it's 2024, and most of us are officially done with the idea of idols, celebrities, and the materialistic culture. I really think that COVID 2020 shook a lot of people and reminded us of what matters most: health, family, and genuine support. We are just too tired and stressed, and distractions aren't working anymore when we are working day and night to feed ourselves. Plus, we are able to look through the veil of charm from successful and good-looking people, where we get to decide if they are good or bad through their actions, not just the shiny things they're wearing to distract you. A lot of us have always been this way, but 2020 made it a lot easier to know we were really onto something bigger. However, there is exceptions to this rule when it comes to a true legacy that is globally accepted as positive due to the massive impact created through generations that should be preserved, like the importance of the family unit, mercy, fighting for what you love, and never giving up, being happy for the ones who are gone, even if it means sacrifice or being misunderstood, and self-belief, my personal favorite. The creator of Dragon Ball Z is one of my few exceptions when I think of the word famous. People around the globe that have a similar childhood to mine agree 1000%. When Akira died in early March, the world of art was in shambles, and the internet paused for a second. To me, it makes total sense, because truth is that if Dragon Ball didn't exist, a lot of your favorite artists would have chosen a different path altogether. His influence extended beyond Dragon Ball, inspiring creators of series like Naruto and One Piece, and even actors like Jackie Chan. Here are some honorable mentions. The mind behind Bleach, Kubo. The artist of Fairy Tail. The creator of Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. Black Cat and To Love Ru. The author of A Silent Voice, plus many, many more. His work laid the foundation for much of what we cherish in modern storytelling. The teachings of Goku and the connections made through Dragon Ball remain an unifying force, transcending age and language all across the world. Akira single-handedly made anime available and cool to everyone. I'm telling you the truth. Dragon Ball Z gained immense popularity in Japan, where it was originated, but following Japan, the series became a significant cultural phenomenon in Latin American countries, particularly Mexico, where it was widely embraced upon its release in the late 1990s. The popularity then spread to other regions in South America and eventually to North America and Europe. While it's challenging to pinpoint the exact order of popularity by country, it is clear that Latin America countries were among the first to popularize Dragon Ball Z outside of Japan, with Nicaragua, Peru, and Bolivia being notable examples. The series has since become a global sensation, resonating with fans across various cultures and continents. When I was doing my research, I really expected it to be more popular in Europe and North America first, but I realized why it became really popular with Latin countries instead. The reason behind all of this was censorship. Besides Japan, Latin America wasn't as restricted like other countries back then when it came to their media. And with it being a fighting-focused story, a lot of people assumed that it had no educational value, but it turns out generations after, it really does. And it changed the world of art forever. The other thing that I'm really passionate about is that a lot of people don't know that before Dragon Ball, even though it was his most popular work, he had so many accomplishments. He was already successful with Dr. Slump and other works that he's been doing, like Gakko the Galaxy Patrolman and like Sandland, and just designing and working in the background for a lot of games and a lot of work. like Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger, Blue Dragon, and so many more. Now let's move to my favorite part of this whole episode. This is my personal memories on how my love for Dragon Ball Z started with my mom at maybe around 7 years old. Might have been earlier, but I'll stick to 7. Thanks, Mom. I love you. So, it's summer, a beautiful sunny day in Mexico before climate change. So the weather was fresh, the air cool, and the birds were everywhere. Back then, summer was my favorite season and time of the year. I got to see my mom's side of the family. They're so fun. Every summer, we would go there after school. When it was like time for vacation time, I always asked to go there. And my mom would make me feel like a mini celebrity, to be honest, when we would visit her childhood town. She's like Katniss. Have you seen The Hunger Games? How like everyone treats Katniss after she saves everyone? I'm not exaggerating. I wish I was. But yeah, she's kind of like the capital's darling. And it felt like every time we arrived, we were welcomed and invited into like every other house in town. Once we were done saying hi to everyone, we would make our way to my grandmother's house. My mother would always show up with gifts. I think gift giving is her love language. She would buy black and white ink Dragon Ball comics before the color ones. We always bought them for one of my favorite cousins ever. Let's call him A. I'm gonna be doing a lot of like fake names and things like that for privacy reasons. So yeah, A, he's like a big brother to me. I was like a bubblegum. I was bubblegum, and I followed him con los ojos cerrados, with my eyes closed everywhere. I trust him so much. My cousin is like 3 years older than me. In adult years, that's nothing. But in kid years, he was a grown-up to me. And I've always looked up to him. Him and my mom introduced me to the teachings of Goku. I saw my cousin to be kind, unproblematic, respectful, and very cool-minded. Collected. And I knew that that's what I wanted to be like. Let me just tell you, I am nothing like him yet. I am not like him yet, but I aspire to be. Although I originally only admired my cousin for being the human representation of what was written in those little illustration books, I gradually began to understand the stories that they told. Cousin A and I would mimic Goku with his Kamehameha and would try to become Super Saiyajins ourselves. I think this might be the reason why I believe in energy, monks, and adrenaline. Anyways, Cousin A and I would hide large pebbles that would symbolize the 7 Dragon Balls, and we would try to collect all 7 of them so we could summon Sharon and ask for a wish. I'm saying it like the English way in Spanish because I know both, but it's called Shenron. Anyway, so being a kid that is allowed to be imaginative, and it's like the best thing ever. I found out recently that a kid's love language is play, and I can confirm from my memories. A little background about Shenron. He is known as the Eternal Dragon in the Dragon Ball series. It's a magical dragon summoned when all 7 Dragon Balls are gathered, and they grant you any wish within its power. The Dragon Ball themselves are like mystical orbs that, when united, call forth Shenron to fulfill your wish. And it's like regardless if you're a good person or bad person or whatever, it just grants you your wish, no matter what it is, to be honest. But yeah, I hope that your childhood was cool and that you at least got to experience doing the Kamehameha. Recently, in January of 2024, I went to a car show that my hubby and I were invited to. It now feels like fate, and almost a reminder to appreciate people and things before they're gone. I had not thought about this childhood memory I just told you about in some time now, but it all flushed right back. The moment I saw this beautiful pink Majin Buu car right in front of me. It was at the car show, and standing right in front of me, I took a picture with it, and my heart was so full and warm. I thought of A, who became became now a memory because of life, things happen. And for legit reasons, I haven't seen him in probably close to 10 years now. Him and I are closer than ever. So don't worry, we are okay. But distance does make you remember moments like this. And I didn't feel sad. I appreciated my mom and my cousins, the visits, my grandma, my childhood, and the love of the town when I was present. I appreciated everything, even as a kid that had no idea that I would move more than a few hours away. And I think that's the reason why I can look back at innocence without regret. I often feel like I could even be more giving, more sweet and appreciative, but if it all fails, I will at least know that I tried my best to be present, to think before I spoke, and to be kind to everyone even when it's really hard. Goku taught us a lot about life that is worth remembering. It's not just a cartoon. For a lot of people around the world, it's companionship. It's knowing that you're not alone. It's values and a good influence when you don't have the best environment or people to follow. I was lucky, but even I sometimes felt very alone. And I was lucky. So I understand why anime is so big and why people deserve their fame and roses before they leave when they do good things. It all came together for me. It made sense to talk about this week because Akira's death and the events from the public, all of the negativity towards him before his death made me realize how simple not having regrets really is by how some people talked to him before knowing he was dying. Also, it all clicked for me, period. This is why the title is called People Love You Harder After, and we should be okay with this. It's really hard to prevent. A lot of the times we are not present. A lot of us are not present. And when we try to be present, we are still failing. Before and after Akira has been successful, he was already successful. He has all the recognition and money anyone could need in a lifetime. But I knew he was about his word when I noticed that he was finishing his last work out of pure love. I came to the conclusion that all of the teachings from Goku and everything he read and everything he said and every interview he talked about, all of the criticism, it all made sense. This man had nothing but love. Selfless, blind love. I don't know exactly how that love extends or the mindset behind it, but you have got to love your craft, yourself, and the people enough to despite all of the success and not needing to do anything else, and not needing to prove anything else, not needing any money, you choose to receive criticism and you choose to still finish a piece of work that you wanted to do, even when people were nasty about the last project. You want it. That is love. What else do you call that but pure love? I wish I knew the way his brain works, because a lot of us would be very successful if we moved towards love. We all found ourselves spiritually thanking him that day for our childhood. But the day the news broke, I read a lot of people consumed by regret because they probably were reminded of their childhood like I was. And, there was a few people that complained and said some nasty things to him. I felt what they felt. I know regret when I see it. We were mourning the death of one person that we never met. And he did meet us, though. He met us in the comfort of our backyards, playing Kamehameha, collecting fictional magic balls, and with stars on them, and consuming an imaginary dragon theory that maybe, just maybe, it will pick you up and take you to heaven. Weirdly enough, he died in the year of the dragon, and that's very symbolic, knowing that there's a dragon in Dragon Ball. Anyways, my mind almost fell into the trap of regret as well, because I failed to see from a young age the little yet huge attempts from my mom to show me some love and understand me. Her gifting us those comic books was her trying to connect with me and my cousin. I felt the distance and sadness of not having those memories again in real life, or being able to hug my cousin right now and mourn with him, but I quickly stopped myself. You see, I almost went the sad way instead of the appreciative gratitude way. But I stopped myself because I realized that wiring your brain to always think of the past and pick at the things you missed will only continue to build more habits and thought patterns that lead to sadness and more regrets. We need to look at this moment like a learning lesson and try not to do it again. Perhaps even thank anyone who has inspired you, even once upon a time. If even if they inspired you once and you do not care of what they're doing today, tell them thanks. If you think this doesn't relate to you yet, I will wrap this episode up with a tiny bow that will send a message home. Days before March 7, when the world got the news, I saw a social media post from a family friend that I know. I know that I've seen this post before by many people, but at very different times of my own growth and in my own life. And it all felt like a puzzle coming together for this episode to be born. Our friend Jay, let's call him that for, you already know. He said, "When I die, I don't want to see you at my funeral talking about how great I was and your memories with me, because I want to hear that now that I am still alive." And so I took action and I apologized when I saw this, and I commented on it about how I failed to do that as well. I also messaged his peaceful yet loving wife, who is a mom now, and let's call her M again. She is sweet and she barely comes around. I mean, she's busy. We understand that. But the reason M is so special to me is because when you do see her, all she provides is peace and kindness, and you remember her. I think we all feel unappreciated sometimes because negativity is contagious. It spreads like a virus. And I truly think the strongest people are the kind ones, because it's easy to be toxic. So easy. And it feels sort of good because of the release of congested feelings of stress. But if you care about the people around you and your brain, I suggest, even if you fail, because I do as well, but even if you fail, try your best to send these frustrations that you have towards a career based on yourself, something of value. I don't care what it is. My attempts are janky right now, but remember, just like pressure and time, it shapes diamonds out of dirt. So you can shape that negativity into a lot of irreplaceable love, memories, and value. So, I'd love to know your opinions through our email, hueclouds@gmail.com, which is hueclouds@gmail.com, or message us. And if you like listening to this as much as I enjoyed making it for you, give it 5 stars and a review on Spotify. Subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube and across all my platforms. They're all under Hue Clouds. It's spelled HUECLOUDS on everything. Let me know what you think and what you want to hear next. I'll see you hopefully next Monday. I'm Hue Clouds, and take care of your perfect thoughts. Peace.